Good afternoon and welcome all of you for this video lecture session on data mining. I am Dr. P. Jagannathan, professor and here in the Department of Computer Applications, PSNA College of Engineering and Technology. So in this session, I am going to talk about why we have to do any kind of mining over the data, that's called data mining. And then we will see methodology of knowledge discovery in databases, data mining functionalities, or all the patterns thus we have obtained are interesting or makes any sense, and then we will see finally the business applications of data mining. Though scope is very high, but I need to restrict my talk on these topics. First of all, let us see what is the necessity and what is the motivation for doing the data mining. See, nowadays we are living in a digital era. The gadgets and the instruments and the facilities we thus enjoy, even the kings did not have 100 years before. Now we are talking with mobiles and we are sending SMS, MMS, WhatsApp, Viber, and and then we are swiping our way through our credit cards, debit cards, and we do online purchase, we reserve tickets in online, and we do see our online activities keep on increasing, and where all this data is stored, and somewhere at some point of time or in the organizational databases or in transactional databases, these huge volume of data is getting stored. And also if we see web data, e-commerce data, and purchase at the department or grocery stores, and bank credit card transactions, Facebook, Twitter, banking, telecom, other business transactions, scientific data, astronomy, biology, and automated data collection tools, mature database technology, and the cheapest storage mediums and the cheapest computers with the high processing powers. These are all really making a wonderful opportunity for all of us to do some kind of analysis of the data which is existing in large databases. So this is what the scope and why we should mine these data. Of course, this is very, very interesting. In the present day context, we see for any organization, the data is the topmost asset. Had this data been handled properly, definitely that organization will have edge over their competitors. And this vital asset of data is not being handled properly or wisely, then of course that organization will be lagging behind. That is why now so many people have been talking about data mining, and in fact so much has been said about data mining. And many years before, in the late 1990s or in the early 2000s, many American universities and European universities have started the course on data mining, and of late it is gaining momentum now. Now we are currently dealing with big data. So let us see some of the quite interesting aspects of data mining in this class. Apart from what I have mentioned in my earlier slide, medical imaging, so we have a lot of imaging devices are coming into being now. That's highly sophisticated. Scanners, radars, video surveillance, growth of mobile users, and enormous connectivity, and non-traditional IT devices like RFID readers, navigation systems, and smart devices like electric grids, smart buildings, smart devices, wearable devices, and robots, increased access to broadband. So these are another aspects which are facilitating huge amount of data that is being generated and residing in huge volume of databases. And see, if the latest statistics, one interesting statistic says there are 7 billion devices have been connected right now across the world. These 7 billion devices, how much data they generate out of their everyday transaction. It's really very quite interesting aspects of data. That is why probably you can see I used the tag I love data. Now the data is everywhere now. And can you tell me any area where there is no data is involved? Because without data, now nothing. Organizations are really doing so much about research on data mining now. They are working so much on data now, and they try to generate some kind of meaningful patterns out of the data, and they want to make use this for their business establishment. And if we happen to see the growth trends, you see Moore's law, that is very famous law about the growth trends. Computer speed doubles every month, and storage doubles every 9 months. You know, the data that is being generated in the last 2 years is equal to the data that was being generated in the rest of the years in the whole of the world. So that much of data is generated in the last 2 years alone. And consequences, so we have large amount of data and we have little knowledge about the data, and also what is needed is some kind of effective mechanism to have some kind of, or to tap some kind of knowledge out of this huge volume of data. And this is another interesting graph that I would like to present to you. If we just take this data explosion graph, in the y-axis there is the data volume, in the x-axis time. So over the period of time, the data volume is increasing. In fact, this is a linear graph. The line goes like this now in the last 2 years. Okay, then if the time goes, the data volume also increases now. So up to this much, see, up to this volume of data, see here, if you connect this line with this, up to this volume of data, now you have, or we have, or human being have some kind of ability to do something with this data. Either you can use some statistical tools, or OLTP tools, or OLAP tools, or some database management tools. But if the data goes beyond this, see, it deviates from here and it goes like this. Now this gap, this is very interesting gap, and this is where it paves the way for data mining, up to which we can do some analysis with the human brain or existing tools. But here it makes no sense at all. We can't do anything with our human brain or existing tools. So how to address this gap or bridge this gap? Here comes the concept of big data, and here comes the concept of data mining. So we have to develop some kind of data analysis tools or mining tools which can do some analysis over the data which is available in this graph. So this is the current trend about data explosion. And even now the latest trend in the industry is SMAC, social, mobile, analytics and cloud. And of course of late it is called social, mobile, analytics, cloud and internet of things. So this is very interesting aspects now. Now so much has been, industry people are talking about this SMAC. A lot of mobile devices, and a lot of social network data, and we have to do some kind of analysis over all this data, analytics, and then all these things are going to be stored in the cloud with some kind of security measures. So this is the current industry trends. And if you happen to see this next, 76% of businesses are now using social media for their business objective, and 72% of enterprises are now cited improved productivity as a driving factor in adoption of smart mobile devices. 75% of executives at large companies said they are working to increase their company's use of analytics knowledge, and 92% of businesses are now completely satisfied with their cloud service providers now. Of course, there are some issues about security that needs to be addressed. So this is what the current industry trend, SMAC. So again comes here the volume of data or mining has a lot of scope in all these aspects. So we are living in an era where the information rich or data rich but poor in knowledge. So what we are going to do, how I am going to analyze this data and how I am going to make use of this data for any kind of business advantage. You know, this is another interesting slide that you need to really understand. So here comes data. Data comes from different sources like, you know, scanners or imaging devices or some kind of radars or some kind of computers or internets or, you know, some numerical data or something like. So from different sources this data is coming now. Paper, flat files, web documents, scientific experiments and database systems. And we have to do some kind of data pre-processing or integration over the data which are obtained. And then we have to do some kind of data exploration. And all these three parts, data exploration, data pre-processing and data sources are incidentally managed by the database administrator of the organization. If it goes beyond which, the database administrator is not involved in this. Of course, here comes the data analyst now. It is the job of data analyst. So they will do data mining, information extraction is happening here, or knowledge extraction is happening here. And then comes the business analyst. So the job of data analyst is to generate some kind of pattern. Then comes the business analyst whose main motive is to make use of this pattern for the business development. So they will be focusing on the visualization techniques. So there are some kind of numerical data, and normally any boss or any manager wants to see those things in terms of you know, some kind of pie chart or bar chart or some other visualization, decision tree and so on. So that will be very useful techniques to understand the pattern in a much better way than the numerical data itself. And then this is done by business analyst. So here comes ultimately the decision making that is done by the end user. Mainly the end users of the decision support system are top bosses of the company, managers, general managers or owners of the organizations. And if you see the data which is lying at this bottom of the triangle may not be much useful. It is only raw form of data, and only when the data goes up and come up to this much, this data is going to be very, very valuable data. The data which is available here is much better than this, the data which is available here is better than this and so on. So the data which are available here has increasing potential to support any kind of business decision. So that's what we do, data mining. And now there are some misconception about what is data, what is information, what is wisdom, what is intelligence. So we have to understand the changes. See, what we get is only raw data. The data in the raw form like read 192.234.235.245.678 or version 2. So these are all only data. Now it can't do anything by itself or can't make any value. And then if the data, if you add data with the meaning, then that becomes information. Example, south facing traffic light on corner of Pitt and George Street has turned red. This is the information now. This is very useful. Upon seeing that if some light is turned red, then of course we will have to stop our journey and we will have to wait. And then if this information is added with the context, then it becomes a knowledge. Now the traffic light I am driving towards has turned red, and so I have to stop. So that is the knowledge. Context is added, and if this knowledge is applied, then that becomes a wisdom. I better stop the car. Suppose we do not stop the car, what will happen in the signal? Probably you must be knowing the consequences. So we have to develop the wisdom that it has to stop upon seeing the red light. So this is what the wisdom we generate. This is a simple example I am just giving. Even there is a life of the data after wisdom, that is called intelligence, the so-called business intelligence now. So now you can see, you would have seen how the raw data is getting converted into a business intelligence idea or intelligence. So it will be converted into information and knowledge, wisdom and intelligence, which is very useful for us, which is going to promote our business, which is going to give an edge over other organizations. Of course, this is what the job, knowledge, wisdom, intelligence of data mining. Okay, this is a slide which gives you information about how the raw data is getting converted into wisdom. And so if you want to see an example for data to wisdom, this slide, this image, this is a man who was living in the Stone Age or afterwards, who happened to live in jungle, right? Probably you must be knowing, even before the civilization starts, people were living in jungle like animals. They did not have any kind of sophistications that we do have today, So when they are living in jungles, they just started observing things like, sun is rising, light is coming, and some trees are there, some rain is falling, some birds are flying, some rats are running, like some grasses are there, and so they just see everything, and this is the information to them, right? Then if you add something with this information, as I have said you in my earlier context, in my earlier slide, you just connecting information, raw information, you have to connect them, and then that gives you information. Example, oh, the rabbits eat grass, right? Connection of grass and rabbits. And then grass grows in soil. It's not grows in in the sky. It is in the soil. Connection of these two aspects becomes knowledge. And rain falls from clouds. Rains and clouds are now connected and falling over the earth. So connection of discrete information becomes knowledge. And then wolves eat rabbits. So that is also another knowledge he generates. So he sees information and he develops knowledge by connecting things, by connecting the dots, by connecting discrete information. And then see what comes. Then it is still extended a step beyond. See, if I kill off all the wolves, then the rabbits will eat up the grass and the soil will all wash away when the rain falls. So this is the wisdom he develops. So he should not kill all the wolves, otherwise there will be a soil erosion and he may not be able to live. So this is what the kind of wisdom he generates or intelligence he generates, right? So I think now you better understand the connection between information, knowledge and wisdom, because these things are closely going to be connected with data mining, which we are going to see. So data mining as such is not the single subject as many people thought. It has hired concepts from different discrete subjects like statistics, database management systems, visualization, and some kind of machine learning, pattern recognition, and some other disciplines like algorithms. So it draws concept from all other discrete disciplines and it has confluenced as a subject. So some concept it hired from statistics and some from database, some from machine learning, some from pattern recognition. Of course, this is a very interesting concepts of machine learning that you must be knowing. It's a part of data mining now. What is machine learning? What makes human brain or human being intelligent? So there is, I can see just a computer in front of me and I am standing here. Now I will ask you one question, which is superior? Computers are superior or myself is superior? Computers are intelligent or human being is intelligent? What's your response? See, many people say computers are intelligent and some other people say human being are intelligent. But I can tell you it depends. So when it comes to take intelligent decision, the human brain easily outsmart the computer. Today it's very sultry outside, it's going to be rainy, better I should take umbrella with me. Only human brain can think like connecting the information to develop wisdom, whereas computers can't think like that. It will just simply do whatever it is being instructed to do so. That's all. But when it comes to a 50-digit number divided by another 50-digit number, probably will take a couple of hours or couple of days or couple of weeks sometimes, and we may not be able to reach correct answer. But you take computer, within a fraction of second or couple of seconds, it will give you answer. So it shows that computers are outsmarting the human brain in doing huge calculations now. Also, what makes human brain to become intelligent? That is a learning, concept of learning. So there is no learning, there is no question of intelligence, right? So this learning, we are going to make the machines to learn. Once the machine started learning, computer started learning, that will become intelligent now. That's the idea. So we are going to somehow make the machines to learn, and they become intelligent with some kind of algorithms like neural network algorithms, genetic algorithms, and so on and so forth. So with these we are going to solve many of the complicated problems of data mining. And if you happen to see the evolution of database technology, data collection was in those days a primary task, and then database creation, and then data management, in the sense storage and retrieval of the information or browsing through the transactional database, and then data analysis and understanding of the data. So this is the main evolution of this database technology. And if you see in terms of years 1960, there was a lot of activities which are involving only data collection, like database creation and so on. And then 1970 is mainly focused on relational database models, a database in tabular format. That is covers very important aspects of data, and query languages were introduced to get something out of the data, SQL. And 80s, advanced DBMS concepts are coming into being, and advanced data models like extended data model, relational data model, object oriented data model, space data model, some specializations are created, some time series data model, all these things are coming into being, data warehouse is coming into being, OLAP and other things are coming into being. And so during 90s and 2000, what happened? Web databases are coming into being, XML based systems, web mining. 2000s and 2010s, the concept of big data mining and the concept of SMAC, as I said earlier. So this is the evolution of database technology now. The database is now focusing more on getting something out of the databases meaningfully. So that's what the main objective of data mining is. So now becomes an important aspects of data mining. Let us develop an understanding about what is data mining first. That is very important questions to understand anything beyond further. What is mean by data mining? Data mining is otherwise called knowledge discovery in databases, and this is defined as extraction of interesting and potentially useful, non-trivial. Non-trivial means not simple, and implicit. So those information are not explicit, only implicit, and previously unknown. The pattern thus we are getting is not aware of it beforehand. Now only we are getting out of mining. Previously unknown and potentially useful information. Any pattern which we get must be useful or potentially useful. Otherwise there is no use in mining some kind of pattern out of the large databases. So information or patterns from data in large databases. Now let me read it together. Extraction of interesting, non-trivial, implicit, previously unknown and potentially useful information or patterns from data in large databases. So this is what data mining is all about. See here you can see one word, interesting. That interesting means non-trivial, implicit, previously unknown and potentially useful information. When only any information becomes interesting, otherwise it may not be interesting. And so when I talk about data mining, you should understand one thing about, there are two discrete terms in these. One is called data and another one is called mining, right? Data mining. So data, I was telling so much about data, and mining is another part. So two parts are coming together now. Has it to do anything with gold mining? Why it is called data mining? Yes, of course, you must be knowing about gold mining and how they have been mining gold in gold fields. In India, Kolar gold field, and many places are there in fact. So how they have been mining gold? So mining gold is not very easy. Gold is not available as such as a gold. So we have to dig through the ground. We have to sift through large volume of sand, gravels, rocks, maybe 50 feet or 100 feet or 150 feet we have to dig through, and then we will be able to get some kind of metals or some kind of products we get. Then we will have to distill or separate out gold. So that is why it is called gold mining. In the same way around, we have to sift through huge volume of data to get nuggets of information, right? Like gold mining, the end product is gold, mining result is gold. Here the end product is knowledge. So the best term which can be used is knowledge mining rather than data mining, right? We are sift through and we sift through huge volume of data, burying data, and ultimately we get some pattern, and then we will distill, separate, do some process that's called post processing, and we'll get nuggets of information. That is called knowledge. That is called wisdom. Of course, that is going to be used in business. So that's the key idea about data mining. Probably you can see a diagram here, sand mining and gold mining, from these terms the data mining is coming into being, right? There are some alternative names for this. What are the names? Don't get confused with data mining with the other terms that are being used in the literature. Knowledge discovery in databases, knowledge extraction, data pattern analysis, data archaeology, data dredging, information harvesting, business intelligence, etc. And what is not exactly data mining? You place some query and get some information. That is not exactly data mining, right? Or you can say some expert systems or some machine learning, small machine learning programs. These are not exactly data mining. This is something different. What was the sales in the last quarter of the year? It's a query. We can place a query and we will get some information. No, but this is not data mining. And list of all MIA students having a GPA of 3.5 or higher and have studied 4 or less semesters, immediately it can give you some information. Who are the students completed 4 semesters or less semesters and grade GPA 3.5 in the MIS subject. But that is not data mining. Data mining problems are what is the likelihood of customer purchasing PC with credit card, or a man who walks in, whether he will buy a computer or not. The man who walks in is a terrorist or ordinary citizen. Today will there be any earthquake in Dindigul or not? Will there be rainy today? This is what data mining, some kind of prediction would have been there. So it's not merely query language. Query will simply return something that is available in the database. But prediction is something that is not available in the database, but will be a kind of inference or knowledge. Will there be rainy? Will there be earthquake? Will the customer will buy a computer or not? Or the man who is asking bank loan will be a genuine customer or will be a default payer, right? Or credit card transaction is a genuine or fraudulent. So the data mining system will say answer to all these things, right? So in that way, this is different from query languages or any queries. So let's come to the second topic of methodology of knowledge discovery in databases. What are the steps involved? And there are 7 steps are there in doing this kind of data mining. The first step is goal identification. We have a data, generic data, large data in databases, but what is our goal? What I want to get out of the data? That is called goal setting. So goal is very important. Otherwise it is called defining the problem. Number 2, creating a target data. All the data available is not in fact necessary. If you give all the data, then garbage in, garbage out. Unnecessary data if you insert, you will get unnecessary pattern, or a pattern of furious pattern you will get, right? So we have to select the target data. That is very important. And then if you want to create target data, what we have to do? We have to do some kind of pre-processing. What is mean by pre-processing of the data? It is very important question. Pre-processing activity consumes 80% of data mining tasks, and it must be a highly focused task. Had this step is not been right, then rest of the things will go wrong definitely. So we have to focus or put our 80% effort in doing this kind of pre-processing or preparing the data for mining. So there are many tasks available in the pre-processing. Number 1 is dimensionality reduction. See, there are 50 attributes. All the 50 attributes are not really necessary. So we have to reduce it. That is called a horizontal reduction, a dimensionality reduction. What are the attributes which are greatly contributes or informative that we need to select? That is called feature selection or feature extraction. That's the first step. And there are 10,000 records, but many records are redundant. So we have to remove the redundant records. That is called vertical reduction. So these are all coming under dimensionality reduction. So dimensional reduction may be a vertical reduction or horizontal reduction. The next is missing data analysis. When somebody is collecting the data, some data would have been missing. So how to deal with these data? If some records, some data is missing, then probably we end up in failure. So we have to somehow get these missed data filled, or we have to completely eliminate the record. There are various methods are available in doing this missing data analysis. We can put some universal constants like 99, or you have to find the value just above and just below and find a mean and replace it, right? Many things could have been done. And then outlier data. So when somebody, hospital clerk, instead of typing the age is 50, he strikes another zero, then the age becomes 500. Could you imagine anyone is living 500? If you insert a data of a patient who is having 500 years, then probably the pattern which you get will be definitely wrong. So we have to do something, this outlier data. We have to deal with this outlier data. We have to put it in or we have to remove the outliers clearly, otherwise it's a problem. So, and sometimes we have to remove noise, unnecessary data, confusion data, or irrelevant data. All these things have to be done with it. All these things are coming under pre-processing. Then transformation and reduction, as I told you already. And then the 5th step is mining. There are a lot of functionalities are there in mining, like clustering, classification, association rule mining, concept description, deviation detection, outlier analysis, and many things. So which task is relevant for us? Which functionality is relevant for us? We have to identify. Then suppose you select this classification is the best task which you are going to do for this particular data. Then for classification itself, there are hundreds of algorithms are available. ID3, C4.5, J4.8, CORT, classification and regression trees, decision tree algorithms, decision list, many things are there. Lazy algorithms, tree algorithms. So we have to select the suitable algorithm in order to do this kind of classification tasks. So choosing mining algorithms, search patterns, all these things are happening in this. And then presentation. So visualization, then transformation, then removing redundant. Sometimes patterns also redundant. Post mining, after mining we get some pattern, the patterns are redundant. So these redundant patterns have to be dealt with, otherwise it's a problem. So that is called a removal of redundant patterns, etc. And the seventh one is taking action. We get some pattern and we are going to deploy this pattern for business development. So these are the typical data mining tasks available in doing any kind of data mining. Probably you can get better understanding about by seeing this diagram. Like, see, data is coming from different sources, then all these things are merged together, data integration. Say your data may be coming from UK, that gives weight in some other unit, say in pound, or the data may be coming from India, we say weight in kilogram, or the data may be coming from US, maybe the weight in grams. The same weight is coming with the different units now. So we have to integrate, right? All these things are happening here, data integration. Then cleaning, missing data, noise removal, redundant data removal, outlier removal, all these things are done here. So data warehouse is created now. Data warehouse is nothing but a repository of similar data. So even we can do mining without data warehousing. It's not mandatory in fact, but had it been a data warehouse, it would be great, very useful. Understand? And so then data selection. As I told you, we have to find out the target data, feature selection or data selection or record selection, and then we do mining here, and then we get patterns, and then we evaluate the pattern, we select the right pattern, and the knowledge we get, so the knowledge will be deployed for business development. But in every back we get a feedback, I will go back and we do some changes, and all these things are happening. These are the core of knowledge discovery process. And the third is, now we move on to the third topic, data mining functionalities. As I already told you, there are many functionalities in data mining, like there are two styles of data mining. One is descriptive data mining, another one is predictive data mining. Descriptive data mining is going to give you some kind of description about the data. Predictive data mining is going to give you something about prediction, some kind of inference. So these are the two styles of data mining. In descriptive data mining, mostly you'll get what is in the data, what does it look like, and are there any unusual patterns, or what does the data suggest for the customer segmentation, and so on. All this information we will get. And similarly, we will get the patterns with various granularities, like geography or country or language. So based on that will segmentation will happen. Functionalities mainly are summarization, visualization and association. These are the descriptive functionalities. And there are some predictive functionalities that will do some kind of inference. In a descriptive, there is no prediction, only explanation. But here there will be a prediction. So here the algorithms are classification, clustering. So these are the main functions, right? Now once you select the algorithm, that becomes a model here. That right algorithm will select a model here, and you give input and you get output. So it almost like a black box, like that how we operate a bike or car. We insert a key, ignite the engine, kick start or button start, the bike moves when you give the accelerator. But you don't know how this internal combustion engine works, or how four-stroke engine works, or how fuel is being injected into the engine. We all don't know. We operate it with the black box knowledge. Like car or bike, many things we do and operate with the black box knowledge. In the same way around, data mining model, once you generate, you give input, you get output. So it is almost like a black box. So main functionalities are concept description, association rule mining. When customer is buying certain things, what are the association between various things he purchased? So for example, one famous example is the beer and diaper. Walmart is a big chain store that operates in most of the continents and in most of the countries, big countries. It's a very big chain store. The counter clerk in Walmart, in one of the US Walmart center, come with a very peculiar and very interesting pattern. During Friday evening, the people who buy beer also buy diapers. What is that? Diaper is nothing but nappy. That nappy is mainly used by children. So those who buy beer also buy nappy. You can wonder, the counter clerk wondered, what is the relation between nappy and beer? Why the gentlemen who are all coming here, mostly young fathers, they are buying this nappy and beer together. So information to the superior or manager. Manager got interested in this. Let us take the loyalty cards. Let us bring the customer loyalty cards. Then point of service data, what he is buying. So both the data are now combined. Loyalty cards almost contain the demographic information of the customer, like customer name, age, address, his income, what is his designation, and where he is living, what he is doing. All this information are called a demographic information. So this is being connected with the items he purchased in the counter. Then they come with this interesting information. Yeah, it's true, what the counter clerk says is right. The young fathers, particularly in the Friday evening, they whoever buy beer, 90% of them buy nappy also. Then they just started analyzing what is the relation between this. Very interesting relationship between, that's called association rule mining. What is the association between these two? That is probably because Friday evening the young women who are at house, they used to go for outing on some reasons. These guys who happen to stay afternoon at home, they don't want to miss their beers that they will have during the weekends. So they will invite some friends and they will sit in some rooms and they started enjoying their beers. So now what happened to the children which is available in the next room? So they put the nappy and put it in bed and give some toys, and these guys quietly enjoying their sip of beer. Probably this is what happened. That is why the people who are buying beer also buying the diaper. So what this Walmart guy has done, so along with the diaper, he stuffed beers also. Now because of this, beer and diaper sales increased double or twice, because otherwise after buying beer they have to take a long walk to find somewhere nappies available. So sometimes at busy they left, not buying diaper or not buying beer either. So now both of the items are stacked together, and so they quietly buy both and moving away, the sales increased doubly. So this is what the knowledge we get out of finding the association between various items customer purchase. And then classification and prediction, it is one of the highly studied tasks in data mining. And cluster analysis, grouping similar items together, that's called cluster analysis. And then outlier analysis, and then trend evolution, and other pattern directed studies, summarization, and then the output characterizations, and these are the important functionalities of data mining. Summarization, description, character description, or deviation detection, outlier analysis, classification, association, all these things are important data mining functionalities. So let us see what is mean by classification. So classification is a learning. This is a supervised learning. There are two kinds of learning. One is supervised learning, another one is unsupervised learning. If it is a supervised learning, there will be a training set. So based on the training set, some pattern will be or some model will be generated, and this model will then be used for any kind of decision making. So that is called supervised learning. In short, if you want to say, if you learn with a teacher, that is called supervised learning. And if there is no teacher and you do some self-learning, that is called clustering. So unsupervised learning is clustering. In clustering there is no training data, but in classification there is a training data. So with the training data we develop models. So dependent variables is categorical. Categorical means probably you must know what is the age, middle, what is the income, high income group. This is called categorical data. Build a model and able to assign new instances to one of the set of well-defined clauses. And so there are typically many classification problems available in business or in scientific discovery or in any kind of thing classification. Say for example, if you want me to give an example for classification, a guy is swiping his credit card. Whether it's a genuine swipe or fraudulent swipe. We have to classify genuine and fraudulent. That is an example for classification. Or a guy who comes in or walks in to a computer store, whether he will buy a computer or he will not buy a computer. Classification. Two-class classification. Will buy a computer or not buy a computer. This is an example for classification. There are many methods for classification: decision trees, artificial neural networks, Bayesian classification, naive belief networks, K nearest neighbor, regression, logistics, and so every of this method is having 50s and hundreds of algorithms, and probably you should be aware of that. Lot of algorithms are associated with these algorithms. These functionalities. What are the steps, main steps involved in classification? First thing, let us train the model. We will develop a model with the training set. That's called training the model. So for example, use the training set and then develop a model. Then this model is tested with the test data. That is called a test the model, and then use the model. So develop the model, test the model, and use the model. This is what the typical task involved in data mining. Let's say an example. You please see this database. We have a database of name, rank, years of experience, and tenured. Tenured means, in teaching job, tenure track professor. That is a permanent job. Tenured means permanent. Not tenured means temporary. So this is a database now we have. Mike is an assistant professor having 3 years of experience, not tenured. Mary, assistant professor 5 years, is a tenured professor. Bill, professor 2 years, yes. Jim, associate professor. So this is what the database we get. Now this is called training data. This is called training data. So this training data, we use classification algorithms as I have mentioned. For this training data, for this particular algorithm, classification algorithm, say decision tree algorithm is used, and we develop a model here. So 3 steps I said. First is use the data and build the model. So here the training data is used. For this algorithm, a model is generated. And for what model we have generated? If rank equal to professor or years greater than 5, then tenured equal to yes. This is what the algorithm has learnt and developed a model. If rank equal to professor or years greater than 5, then tenured equal to yes. Now we have built a model. Now you can say anyone, that is called future data, then prediction is very easy. Now you can tell me anyone that, say for example, you take Professor David, his name is David, or tell me someone is a professor, right, and he is having experience of 6 years. Now we have to find out whether he is a tenured professor or not. So let us see the model now. If rank equal to professor, he is a professor, David is a professor, or years greater than 5, yes, he is having 6 years of experience, then he is a tenured professor. Either the rank is profession or years greater than 5, then tenured equal to yes. So with this model, any future instance comes, we can easily predict and classify. Is it tenured or not? That is the classification. That is called two-class classification. And there are some classification which is multi-class classifications. So in this case, as a simple case, let's take two-class classification. So you can say David is a professor, right? So now we have a test data. This test data should be tested with this model, right? So test data is Tom, assistant professor, years. Melissa, associate professor, 7. George, professor, 5. Joseph, assistant professor, 7. Right? Now this tenured, you please hide this and let us check whether it works properly or not. So this is put into classifier and this becomes unseen data is Jeff, professor, 4. Jeff, professor, 4. Tenured or not, that is the problem. Now he is a Jeff, okay, nothing to do with the name, he is a professor. So professor means he is a tenured. So tenured equal to yes. So this is how we do simple classification. Now is it very clear for you what is meant by classification? So we have a training data, we build a model, with that model we will test data, we will just test whether it is predicting rightly or not, and that could be used for any unseen data. So for example, it is another interesting example, training set is a age, income, student, credit rating, BICE computer. Now we have age less than or equal to 30, from 31 to 40, greater than 40. 3 categories of age is there. Income, high, medium, low. Student, no, yes, 2 class. Credit rating, fair, excellent. BICE computer, yes or no. This is, now you imagine that you are starting a business, say for example computer store. So in the last 1 month there are some 10 or 15 customers walks into your store, right? And you give a registration form to them, or you can ask them what is their age, what is their income. If they ask the income, they don't tell you. High, medium, low, you can just predict upon their profession. It is easily predictable in India. Whether it's a student or not, they will give you. What is their credit rating? Credit rating means how much they buy, right? BICE computer or not. Or they do window shopping or BICE computer. Store everything in a database. So you have developed a database like this. Now you have to apply some classification algorithms. Say decision tree algorithms. So the decision tree is generated like this. So what is this decision tree we get and what model it has generated? It has generated 3 models. Model number 1, what model it has? Model number 1, if age is greater than 30 and student equal to yes, then by computer equal to yes. This is the first model. Then if age is greater than 30 and student equal to no, then by computer equal to no. The second model, if age is 31 to 40, then by computer equal to yes. And first rule, second rule, third rule. Fourth rule, if age greater than 40 and credit rating equal to fair, then by computer equal to yes. Fifth rule, if age is greater than 40 and credit rating is excellent, then by computer equal to no. So 5 rules we have generated. Rule 1 is age is greater than 30, if student equal to yes, by computer, he will buy a computer. That's what our algorithm says. If age is greater than equal to 30, student equal to no, he will not buy a computer. If age is between 31 to 40, he definitely buy the computer, irrespective of his credit rating or student. Then if age is greater than 40, if credit rating is fair, he will buy a computer. If credit rating is excellent, he will not buy the computer. So 5 models have been generated, right? So from these 5 models, you can tell it. Let's take this 2-dimensional view of data, right? So here we get so this is before clustering, right? So we apply clustering algorithm here. Now after clustering, it would be like this is after clustering. So what clustering has done exactly? Grouping similar items together. This is called cluster 1, this is called cluster 2, and this is called cluster 3. These are the boundaries of the cluster. And if we say this intra-cluster similarity will be more, the elements will have intra-cluster similarity will be more, inter-cluster similarity will be more. In this case, between the clusters, intra-cluster similarity will be more. Less. Inside the cluster, the inter-cluster similarity is, what is that? The between these two elements, the similarity is more. Between these two elements, the similarity is less. So inter-cluster similarity is less, intra-cluster similarity is high. So this is the idea, right? So there are many algorithm works. Few good reasons are for these simplifications, pattern detection, useful in data concept construction, and supervised learning process. Where data is used for classification like information retrieval, text mining, web analysis, marketing, and medical diagnosis. There are many methods. And why should we use? Type of attributes in data, scalability in large data sets, ability to work with irregular data, and for the records it has no clauses, time cost, complexity, data order dependency, result presentation. And there are many ways you can do clustering. It's called distance based clustering, hierarchical based clustering, partition clustering, probabilistic clustering. Of course, in the classes to come, we will be able to see how each algorithm works, how classification algorithm works, or how clustering algorithm works. So for example, if you want me to demonstrate a simple k-means algorithms for clustering, they are based on distance. It works on distance. Distance may be a Manhattan distance or Euclidean distance or any other distance measure, right? So let us take k equal to 2. That means 2 clusters we have to do. So this algorithm works. First, let us take with the two cluster centers. This is take cluster center 1 and this is take cluster center 2. So initially two cluster centers are assumed, right? And then the nearby element is taken. So what is the distance between this element center and this element center? That is called the distance, right? Right. And then distance between these and these are measured. So these two distances are now compared. Suppose these two distances are less, then this will be put into this cluster. Now the cluster center moves here, average position of these two data elements. Now with this cluster center, distance between these are studied, and whichever is less, that will be put into that cluster. Now the cluster centers moves here. So this iteration is extended to all other elements, and ultimately after this algorithm runs, after many iteration, all the elements will be definitely put into any one of the two clusters. This is how simple k-means algorithm works. Of course, I don't want to focus more on algorithmic part now, because we will have to get to know about the basics of data mining first, and then we will be moving on to the algorithmic contributions, right? So there are distance based methods, hierarchical based methods, and k-means methods, how k-means algorithm works, all these things. And then we have outlier methods, outlier data. So sometimes back, what happens in Twin Towers of the US is blasted. That was a very big incident that affected the whole world, not only America. World Trade Center had been blasted, 9/11 incident. And what the interesting aspect is, the terrorists from different countries went to US, they have undergone pilot training, and they have hijacked their own hijacked American flights and made to crash over the Twin Towers. This is clearly America did not expect. America has built a integrated missile shield system over its border. If any country, say China or Russia, just launch a missile over US, it will be blocked at the border, because it has a multi-billion-dollar missile shield system over US. Any other country or enemy country cannot launch missile over US. But how these terrorist guys went to US, stay there for some time, understand something about the flights, and undergone pilot training, and hijacked 4 different flights at the same time, 4 group of people made to crash over Twin Tower, White House. An attempt was being made, probably you must be knowing, and then Pentagon. It's a great shock to US. So afterwards, US has brought one system of homeland security, data mining based homeland security. This is very interesting. It was brought by the then Bush regime, like that is called TIA, Total Information Awareness Act. But unfortunately, it was not able to get the support of Congress, American Congress. American Congress has vetoed it, because they just see that it is against the privacy of the Americans. What is the TIA says? So in US, 90% of the people are spending through their debit card or credit card. They do 90% of purchases are made online, except some visiting grocery shops and all other things. Ticket booking online, buying books online, everything is online. So all these data are getting stored somewhere as data. So all these data are collected and mined, data mined, classification and clustering. And if there is any outlier or deviation, suppose what is the deviation here? 10 or 12 or 15 people from different countries, they came and landed, they joined for pilot training simultaneously. That is one of the trend pattern, and then they bought flight mechanism books. They read flight mechanism books. They underwent training, pilot training, right? So this is definitely an unusual pattern. Not most of the Americans will do, or any normal people will do. So if we catch up this outlier analysis, definitely these 20 people would have been focused more on their activities, and so they would have avoided the crash. So that is called outlier analysis. Some people will clearly fell apart, so our pattern shows. This we have to identify. This is the best example, right? This you can do using some kind of statistical test or distance measures, or visually inspecting the data, or some other algorithms you can use. And similarly, evolution analysis. So how stock market picks up after new government comes into India. So what is that price indexes are varying, how the evolution is done, whether it is advisable to invest on new stocks. All these things are coming under this evolution analysis. Stock market predictions, future stock prices, or overall stocks, indexes, or individual company stocks, some kind of predictions are done. Similarly, sequential pattern analysis, like in what sequences people are buying accessories, in what sequence, whether they will first buy a computer and then cover for computer, or bag for computer, or CD, how frequently they buy, daily, weekly, monthly. So get some kind of sequential pattern. So through this we generate knowledge or pattern. So now we are almost moving to the last part of the lecture, that whether all the discovered patterns are interesting. That's a $1 million questions. In fact, the guidelines for this is whether the pattern is interesting, we'll have to check it out. As I mentioned earlier in the definition, whether it is valid, whether it is novel, whether it is non-trivial, whether it is implicit, whether it is previously unknown. All these factors should be figured out when only you can say the pattern which you are getting makes some sense or not. It is not guaranteed that all the patterns obtained are valid. All the patterns are useful. Some patterns may not be very useful, and we do some kind of post pattern analysis, and then we will have to find out the exact patterns out of mining. Now this only experts can do. Now of course there are a lot of potential business applications. Of course the next couple of slides will get the thorough list of how data mining could be used in different aspects of business or in different aspects of life, like market analysis and management, like nowadays, so target marketing, customer relation management, market basket analysis, cross selling, market segmentation. Similarly, risk analysis and management, like insurance companies are mainly using this. Fraud detection management, like credit card and debit card companies are using this. Other application like text mining. Now many people are browsing through internet. Suppose you go to Google and just search what's the best house loan in India or in Tamil Nadu. In the next couple of days, after a couple of days, you will get a lot of promotional mails from all other banks. That is called a recommender system. So somewhere they mine the text which you are used for browsing, and they come to the conclusion that you are now in search of housing loan. So almost all banks are catching up this trend and sending you the promotional mail, right? So this is what happening in text mining, news group, email, documents, web analysis, and all these things are happening, right? And then what are the data sources? Customer profiling, segmentation, target marketing. Which market? Suppose some new product is launched by certain companies. Out of the existing customers, which are the customers likely to buy this? Now our algorithm will return a list, and so based on the list only we will send a letter or we will make a phone contact. Otherwise it will increase the promotional cost. Understand? So this is what we do, one kind of analysis, association analysis we will do. Customer retention is very important nowadays now. Companies are now dying to retain their customer base, otherwise they will be losing it to their competitors. Understand? So cross-selling and upselling. Many things, many applications, fraud detection and management, in credit card transaction and many things. Similarly in healthcare. Healthcare, it is tremendously useful now. in predicting the high risk groups, or whether a particular patient is likely to develop cancer or not, or reduce the patient waiting time in beds, or combination of drugs, which combination of drugs is best suitable for him, or in drug discovery, or in prediction of cancer, diagnosis, prognosis. Very, very interesting applications you get in healthcare. And similarly, financial data analysis, like complete, reliable, high quality system has to be developed, loan payment prediction and customer credit policy analysis, many things are happening, like, and risk management, telecom, like calling time, duration, location caller, location of callee, type of call, identify data traffic jam, crash, net jam, net crash, and many things we will get. Sports and gaming, outcome of the football game, text mining, internet web application, educational data mining, human resource, online. Similarly, association analysis, market, and many things are happening. One best example in England, one best example I can tell you that human in vitro fertilization, that many people after marriage they don't have issues or children. So what they will do is, people are now working on these test tube babies. That's called in vitro fertilization, IVF. What they do is, they will collect eggs from the ovaries of the women and mix it with the sperm of the male donor. They will mix both of these. Embryos are formed. Several embryos are formed now. Out of these embryos, many embryos, every embryo is characterized with 60 characters, like follicid, morphous, size, history, 60 characteristics are there. So we come to the interesting part of this video lecture, that is conclusion. And so we had seen different aspects of what led to really data flood, and then we had seen why we have to mine the data, and then typical steps involved in data mining, like there are 7 steps, and how each step is very important. And also we had seen some of the very important things that adds understanding to your data mining is data, information, wisdom, knowledge, intelligence, and many things we had seen in this session. And we had seen also different functionalities of data mining, and though we did not focus much on the algorithmic part, but we had seen the overall idea of different functionalities of data mining. And then we had seen the application areas of data mining. As you see, there is a wide scope of applications of data mining. So right now there are a big fuss about big data analysis now, cloud computing now. So I want all of you to develop a kind of insight about data mining and how data mining could be done, and at least be